Dear listeners of the podcast Druga, Pita, welcome to our first and inaugural episode. Joining me today is Mr. John Kennedy Mosoti, country representative of UNFPA. Mr. Mosoti,
No,
welcome.
thank you so much, and I'm glad to be the first one in this series of podcasts that you're carrying out, and I'm really glad to be here, Druga Gimnazia, and to be here with you too.
Thank you much. Well, we're also very happy to have you here. So would you please start by telling us a little bit about what UNFPA does globally and then in Bosnia and Herzegovina?
So thank you very much. So UNFPA, it's an acronym for United Nations Population Fund. As it's very clear from that name, we really deal with issues pertaining to population. So it's very much about the social groups, whether it is gender, women issues, youth, older persons, the persons with disabilities. We deal with the adolescents as well. And there are very specific issues that we actually work with, for example, matters of sexual and reproductive health and rights, issues, for example, of census, just wanting to know how many people are here, advancing and promoting the rights of women, ensuring that young youth count, their potential is actually realized. We have a tagline, making sure that pregnant women are taken care of and they give birth safely when they want, and how many, the number of children that they want. And globally we really have three transformative goals, basically to ensure that there is zero gender-based violence, there is zero unmet need for family planning, and zero maternal mortality. So making sure really that everything goes down to zero, some of the more important issues that we have. But on the population side, and especially when we come to Bosnia and Herzegovina, and this is very important thing, is we have something of a phenomenon which is very unique in Western Balkans that is unlike anywhere else in the world. And I'll try to simplify this as much as possible, is that we have very low fertility, meaning women have the lowest, some of the lowest number of children within families, and we have a lot of people migrating from the Western Balkans, including in Bosnia, not just young people, including families, but also we have a very rapidly aging society. A lot of people are becoming older, which is not bad, because then it means that they are living longer. But unfortunately, we are not prepared for a society that is going to have almost 40% older people older than 65. That has a lot of implications on access to services, taxation, pensions, social protection, and just being able to run a country. So there are quite a number of things that we do, which we'll probably get into when we start speaking about some of the more specific issues.
So you've been in the country for a few years now. So I'd like to ask you, is there any change? Well, I'm certain that there is, but how much of a change happened in Bosnia and Herzegovina and in our society, in our culture, to make gender equality a long-lasting term?
I think this is a very important question. The first, of course, I've been here for only 4 years. I wish I could stay for another 20. Change does not come easy. It takes a bit of time for you to be able to achieve change. But I'm proud of some of the things that we've been able to do over the past few years. And they all relate to the issues of gender equality, issues of youth, issues of peace building, societal cohesion, issues of population dynamics in terms of support to the statistics offices, labor, employment. We've also done issues of humanitarian nature, supporting migrants, communities who are passing through Bosnia and Herzegovina. It's actually a big problem that we have. Issues of sexual and reproductive health and rights, supporting pregnant women, supporting families to be able to have the desired families that they want. And in this case, we've been working a lot with the governments at all levels, at the state level, entity level, cantonal, municipalities. We've also been working with the communities, young people, women groups, civil society, the private sector, the donor community coming in or who are represented in. I think the question was also relating to how much change. Within, at least during my time, and even before my time, I think work has been in such a way that we've been supporting the government and the communities and social groups to be able to achieve their potentials, really living to the tagline or the motto of UNFPA, where we want, for example, young people to be able to achieve their potentials. And it's always very gratifying for me to see a young person like you undertaking such a big project. And I think it just shows that the future is very bright for people like yourselves. And hopefully, you know, I keep going back to how we met and how you were able to take over my job. And people still to date say that you are a better representative than I was. I'm really sad, but I'm very happy that a new crop of representatives is coming up to be able to do a better job than I am.
Thank you. So you just mentioned that in your work you worked with a lot of young people.
Correct.
And that you also, did you also have many trainings? Many projects that will include training and equipping young people with the tools they need.
Yes.
Is there any story that you perhaps found during those trainings that might have inspired you or inspired the work of UNFPA?
Honestly, the first time I came, I remember it was 2020, just when the pandemic, COVID was coming. And I went to, we went to Banja Luka, if I'm not wrong. I think it was in Banja Luka. And it was the first time for me to go to Banja Luka. And there were all these young people who had been put together and we were having a conversation. And one of the girls, one of the ladies there, spoke up. She was young. I think she could have been about 16. And when we talk about the opportunities that are bound within a country, because I gave an example of myself who comes from Kenya, but also who's lived in America for more than 20 years. And I saw the parallels between the two different countries and how in Bosnia and Herzegovina you also have an opportunity to become a much developed country than where you are right now, because of the resources you have, because of how smart young people are, because of just the proximity to Western Europe as well. There are certain things that you can, and the attention that has been paid in this country. And she stood up and she said, sometimes we forget about how much opportunities we have and we do not take advantage of the same. Because there are those who struggle every single day to just be able to have a meal on the table or to be able to just have an opportunity to be able to work. She said, I will be able to seize the moment, carpe diem, and utilize those opportunities for the betterment of this country. I was really I was pleasantly surprised to be able to see that. Yeah.
Well, sounds very interesting work that you do and quite empowering.
Yes, and just to be able to mention, yes, we do conduct a lot of trainings, and especially on issues pertaining to ensuring that you have life skills, and that is one of the things that we're doing with most of the schools. Life skills program education in schools. We're working with the federal ministry as well as the cantonal ministries of education, just to be able to mention actually the Minister for Education, for example, has been very supportive of some of the work to incorporate life skill education in schools. We've been able to work with on empowerment, to be able to have young people empowered to be able to make decisions and choices that are very important. We've been able to work on peace building issues, having young people in different communities coming together so that they can be tolerance, peaceful coexistence, societal cohesion, and just being able to understand that they have common challenges and opportunities abound. And I want to say something, is probably it's also related to the question you asked me. When at that time when I went to Banja Luka, and I found these young people, and one of them actually said, "Oh, are you based in Banja Luka?" I said, "No, I'm based in Sarajevo." And she said she's never been to Sarajevo. And I'm like, how old are you? I think she was 17 or something. And I'm like, why haven't you gone to Sarajevo? And there was a whole debate about, oh, you know, there are all these kind of challenges and everything else. And I'm like, we will try to bring Sarajevo and Banja Luka, some of the young people together, which we've actually done. And they've realized you come and there's nothing happens. And the same thing with some of the Sarajevo young people have gone to Banja Luka and other places. And they just function and nothing actually happens. So this big bad wolf that somebody has been told that, you know, you go there, I don't know what is going to happen to you. Nothing actually happens, and nobody even cares that you're from Banja Luka. Nobody starts asking where you're from Banja Luka before they start engaging with you. And I think it is one of the programs that we're doing. I think bringing different communities together has been very successful.
So you just mentioned that you are also working on peace building.
Correct.
So how were you received, UNFPA, as somebody who is trying to incorporate peace building into our communities in Bosnia and Herzegovina? How are you welcomed by the local communities that you are working with? Were they quite receptive to the change, to the programs that you are doing, or was it something less?
Oh, you mean personally as an individual or as an institution, UNFPA?
Both as an institution.
No, personally, I have the best reception ever. I think for some reason we seem to be working very well with them, so I have no problem. I've personally been accepted and incorporated in a lot of things that the society in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Institutionally, admittedly, things relating to peace building or societal cohesion are very challenging. We should never forget that some few things happened in the past that have troubled people for a very long time. And I want to say two things. Unfortunately, in some of the surveys that we were able to do, we realized that young people who were not even born during the time of the war have more mistrust issues and challenges than even those who were actually there. And this is what is called it's a legacy of trauma of that war. And it's been passed on from generation to generation, which we are now working to see if we could be able to put an end to it. That really we should try as much as we can to look at the positive aspects of every community and work towards having peaceful coexistence within the country. And but it is a challenge that has to be addressed. It's not easy because it is in the psyche of young people. It's also in the psyche of older generations. And this education and awareness has got to begin from the homes so that it continues in the social places, it continues in different communities, in distances, so that we do not have situations whereby you believe that your side is one side and there's another side and other sides. So that is what we try to bring together. So the reception has, and I really have to thank the society, they've been very receptive in terms of the messages and working together, especially reducing hate, especially for young people, has been very successful. That you do not gain anything by insulting or by demonizing the others. You don't make anything. Actually, at the end of the day, it hurts you more. And that has also been very well received.
So as you had one presentation of the youth canton, the Sarajevo canton strategy on youth in UNFPA. So are there any active policies that might interest you that are working well toward the position and status of youth specifically in Sarajevo, but then also in Bosnia and Herzegovina?
So we work with the youth and we work on promoting youth and developing strategies in Canton Sarajevo, which we continue to do. In other cantons as well, but also in Republika Srpska. We work on the broader aspect as well on the demographic strategy, so that it also incorporates young people, older people, because we realize young people cannot live exclusively without in a vacuum. They have to live with other people as well. Now, one of the things that we have to be able to realize is what is the goal that we want to be able to achieve. And overwhelmingly, and did carry out a research about this. It is about the challenges that they face and how they will be able to overcome them. And the challenges are opportunities, tensions amongst the community, mistrust of the authorities, especially the politics. Number 4 is about their potential, their future. And this affects a lot of decisions that young people make. For example, when it comes to when they start families, if they are going to start families, whether they're going to get married, or whether they will be able to train for positions that are important for Bosnia and Herzegovina. When you have your entire mindset towards a country outside of Bosnia, for example, Germany or Italy or France or the United States or UK, then you do not invest here. And you invest your entire body, soul and mind in somewhere else. And eventually you leave, because if you want something so bad, you'll actually get it. And a lot of them, and I just live right next to the EU or Germany embassy, and I see the lines, and I always make it a point to to count how many young people are on that line, and it's scary. It's usually very scary, and we have the numbers. For example, the fact that last year almost 26,000 young people left. For a country of 2.8 million to 3 million, when you lose that number of young people who are potential people who will be able to enter the labor market so that they could make this country better, that is something that we need to be able to take care of. So when we work on the demographic youth strategies or demographic strategies, we look at what is it that this country needs most. We need to work around issues that are making young people make the decisions to leave the country. And you make the city to be more attractive. Actually, this morning I was having a meeting with the Prime Minister, my friend Nihan Uk, in his office, and we were talking about some of the initiatives to be able to just to attract young people as well as women to continue staying in Canton Sarajevo and work. So we try to provide opportunities for not just young people, but also women and older persons to be able to contribute towards the society, and that is really our primary goal.
Thank you very much. Would you have any sort of closing remarks or any messages to young people in Bosnia and Herzegovina who might want to leave, or how would you maybe talk them out of the decision?
To be completely frank, there's a lot of messages that we'd like to have, but I also, just before I go to the messages, I wanted to talk about women as well. In this country, including Canton Sarajevo, we have more than 500,000 women who are not in active employment. And that means that at one particular time they decided to give up looking for jobs, or they don't find it useful for them to be able to find work. Now that is an enormous potential which we could be able to harness. Now we have your sisters and your colleagues in schools, your fellow students who are women as well, and we do not want to see them end up in that category of work of more than 500,000 who are being inactive because opportunities are not abound. So UNFPA, we work with the private sector as well as with the government to be able to provide opportunities for these young women, or for these women to be able to find employment, and some of them have already been employed, and we were discussing with the Prime Minister today, and that program is going to continue for us to be able to find opportunities for women who are in this category.
What advice would you give to some young people who might be wondering whether they would leave BIH, or so? What would you say to them?
That's a very good question, and I really want to look at it from the broader perspective, especially for young people. I really want to address them as I say this. Number one, Bosnia and Herzegovina is your country, and you have a responsibility as a young person and as a citizen of this country to be able to do whatever it is that you can for your country. You have the power to transform this country. Young people have been known to change countries for the better for a very long time. You have an opportunity to leave a mark in this country, and that is your responsibility. Secondly, is that young people in this country have enormous skills. They have talents, they have knowledge which they could be able to utilize. And even if you do not have it, you can get it wherever you want it, especially from the older persons. And therefore, use your talents for the good. Make sure that you are able to use your talents to improve the society, to improve the people of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Those skills, of course, legally, you can do anything. Thirdly, do not spread hate. Be your sister's or your brother's keeper. It does not help to spread hate. In fact, numerous studies have shown that you end up suffering yourself. So if you always see the good in other people and try to engage at that level, you're doing a great service to yourself, to your fellow colleagues, and to the country. Fourth, you're the generation that I believe would be able to eliminate gender inequality, ensuring that women are empowered, that we promote the rights of women and other minorities, persons with disability and others. So please live up to that mantra. You can be able to achieve an equal society, and you are the people who are going to do it. And lastly, please do not discriminate against older persons, because that is like shooting yourself in the foot, because all of us young people eventually are going to be old, and you would not want to be treated the way we sometimes discriminate older persons. And it's not just older persons. It's discriminating against women. It is discriminating against persons with disability or people of other ethnic communities because you feel that they are different from you. No, diversity brings strength. So you should be the epitome of how we should be able to treat one another, especially those whom we perceive are a little disadvantaged within the society. And lastly, to really thank young people, because I mean, if you have to leave, we understand. We are not, nobody's going to hold you from this country, because migration is a natural phenomenon. But please do not leave because it is the only option. Leave because you would want to improve yourself and also to improve those you leave behind. And we are working together to ensure that there are choices and opportunities for you, so that you do not have to have the only option to leave the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mosoti, for those words.
Thank you, Thin. This has been a wonderful conversation,
As
and
well.
I'm happy to have been again the first to come, and I hope that I won't be the last.
Mr. Mosoti, on behalf of the second gymnasium, please, here is the book about the second gymnasium, a monography of all students and all the events that were in the school, well, that were happening in the school up until 2005.
This is so precious. I can see 100 years
Yes.
of the Druga gymnazia. It's really memorable. Thank you so much.